Welcome to the Emisarios Unidos de Luz channel. If you enjoy this near-death experience story, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. Now let's start with the story. My NDE occurred as the vehicle I was driving hit a tree after rolling down an embankment. As it rolled, I had the uncanny awareness that my father, who had already passed on, was supporting my head as my body was jostled about. It was then that I suddenly found myself hovering above the scene of the accident in what seemed like a dream. I could feel myself being gently drawn upward, however, and as I traveled upward, I realized that what I was experiencing was too vivid and too real to be a dream. As I looked down upon the fir trees all around, it occurred to me that my vision was clearer than it was when I wore spectacles. When I looked past the trees, I could see my head partially protruding outside of the driver's side window of the upturned car, and I wondered how I could be in two places at once. I turned to face the sky to behold a vortex similar to a tropical cyclone that cracked with plasma like lightning. Past the opening in the middle of the vortex, I was able to see a plethora of stars encircling the brightest light imaginable, and I knew within my heart that effulgent light was the source of all, or what we refer to as God. I watched as orbs of light of various colors and of varied luminosity and other spirit forms entered and exited through the hole in the center of the vortex, and I knew that those spirits were using the vortex as a mode of teleporting themselves from one part of the galaxy or universe to another. "Oh my God, forgive me," I exclaimed as I realized how ignorantly I had lived my life. Even though I believed in God since I was a young child, as a child I experienced trials that caused me to lose faith in God. In my indifference towards God in my teenage years, I lived an immoderate life in the way that I would recklessly consume alcohol and recreational drugs. In that moment, as I repented for my past before God, I began to undergo a life review, and in that life review, I re-experienced the moments of my life from the vantage point of an elevated perspective. I reviewed the moments I was unabashedly selfish and the occasions in which I was surreptitiously selfish, reasoning to myself at the time that my decision to act selfishly would have little or no impact upon the happiness of those of whom my choices would affect. I also reviewed those moments where I used manipulation or conflict for personal gain. During the life review, I experienced deep sorrow and regret for the person I was, but I also experienced a deep desire to atone for my selfish and egocentric ways. After the review, I felt quite suddenly a beam of light pierce my solar plexus, and I experienced the most intense pain as that light penetrated my abdomen. As I struggled in pain, a being of light approached my side, and I recognized from depictions of Jesus that I had seen during my life that it was indeed Jesus that was now standing by my side. As I carefully examined his features, I noticed that the semblance of his features was quite distinct from that depicted in artwork that I had seen on earth. The light being before me exuded unfathomable love and compassion, and his face radiated a purity and benevolence that was far beyond my capacity to comprehend. "It's for me, I'll take it," he said, referring to the beam of light that was causing me pain. Jesus then proceeded to remove the beam from me, and as he did so, he touched me and said, "You are forgiven." Jesus' light appeared to wane, but only momentarily before the beam of light vanished. "You were made of flesh, and what comes with flesh is biology, psychology, instinct, desire, the ego mechanism, and everything associated with that mechanism. Living in a physical body means you will sin. It's just how things are," he explained. I understood that Jesus, as part of the greater light, is the light being to whom dominion of the earth is bestowed, and it is his responsibility to provide direction and protection, as well as love and care, to the earth's inhabitants. Of his purpose, that much was all that I was able to understand at the time, but quite honestly, he is a being whose purpose far exceeds my ability to comprehend. In his presence, I felt relaxed and so energized that I began to ask him questions as if I were a young child, inundating an adult with a barrage of questions. Do aliens and UFOs exist? Is there alien life in parallel universes? I asked Jesus. It was then that I heard a loud but quiet giggle of enjoyment, and I began to feel an immense stream of energy flowing downward through my being. As that stream of energy passed through me, I was able to observe everything and nothing, from the very beginning of time. I recalled a memory of the entire cosmos from the moment of the Big Bang to the Big Stop to the Big Bang in an endless cycle. In that state, I digested knowledge in all fields of study, which included the fields of study of cosmology, biology, spirituality, consciousness, being and non-being, physics, and mathematics, but because the beliefs at the foundation of my reality and the pattern of my thinking were those of a human, I was only able to comprehend God in a very limited capacity. God is everything that has ever been, everything that will ever be, and even all that will never be, and I understood that absolutely everything was the will of God. After experiencing such a profound revelation, I suddenly became aware that I was out of place. It suddenly occurred to me that I was a human with a body, and if I did not return to that body soon, it would be too late to return. I became aware of Jesus again, and as I did, I re-entered my body. Back in my body, it felt as if I had returned to a huge empty house that had been abandoned, and I had to spend a few moments reorienting myself to the experience. As I cleared the debris blocking my vision, I opened my eyes to the sight of my comrade, who was seated next to me in the vehicle. "I thought you were dead," my comrade was saying as he sobbed. "Don't worry, I just spoke to God. Everything will be fine," I replied. He asked me to give him an account of the conversation I had with God. When help arrived, I was driven to a local hospital, and after spending a day or two in that hospital, I was transported to a hospital in a nearby state so that surgery could be performed to rebuild the broken bones. After the surgery was performed, I was hospitalized for 5 weeks before being discharged to a nursing home, where I was rehabilitated for 6 months. I was able to stand after 6 months, then walk after 9 months, and today I can dance pain-free. I do indeed miss the experience of heaven and the love of Jesus, yet I know that someday I will return to the heavenly realm to be with Jesus. Jesus reassured me, however, that heaven will be accessible to me even while living in the physical body, and to turn my attention to heaven whenever I feel I need it.